And now I'm so grateful to be able to welcome our guest who was with us earlier this year. And he shared about how he's taken a powerful journey as a Christian content creator and the impact that his videos have had on social media. Well, since then, he's taken that message one step further by creating a new book titled Closer, a 7-day devotional for drawing nearer to God in life's hardest moments. So please welcome back Josh Oldenburger to the show. Josh, thanks so much for joining us today.
Hey, thank you so much for having me, Emily. It's good to see you.
Yeah, thanks for being back on. You were on earlier in the year talking about really the impact that your videos on social media has had. And now you've written a book called Closer. So maybe you can share what inspired you really to start sharing what you've shared online and putting it into a book.
Yeah, so it goes back to my first daughter. I shared a little bit about it earlier in the year, but my first daughter, Michaela Faith, passed away back in 2012. Now, in that season, it became the darkest season, the darkest year of my life, and I turned to a lot of things to try to heal, to deal with the pain. I learned how to fight, lift heavy weights. There's some alcohol abuse in there, and the entire time I needed to draw closer to God for my healing and not these other things. Now, if I had had something like this in that season, it would have been so helpful for me. So I felt I would create this to help people go through difficult seasons.
Yeah, in the book, you are reminding us really that drawing near to God isn't about working harder, but it's really about actually just opening our hearts wider to Him. So, how can embracing this truth really bring encouragement, hope to believers who maybe feel like they're not measuring up, or maybe they've gone through a similar experience that you went through? How does this really help them to know to draw closer to God?
Yeah, it's that whole relationship versus religion thing, right? Religion will tell you work harder, try harder, do better, and Jesus says draw closer. And if you try to approach it religiously, you're always going to fall down. You're always going to fall short. You're never going to be enough. You're never going to do enough. But with Jesus, he invites us to surrender, actually, to let go, to draw closer to him, and it's his presence, it's his spirit that will actually work in us and bring us that healing we're looking for.
I love that because, we always do have those two options, right? Can disappointment or pain or hardship turn us closer to God or turn us away from God? And you
Yeah.
are living proof, I know I am as well, that as we turn to God, He has so much joy and peace even in those moments for us.
Mhm.
So one of the things that you emphasize is that we don't need to clean ourselves up before coming to God, but that his presence does that cleansing for us. So maybe you can tell us personally how that truth has shaped your own walk with God and why you talk about that in your book.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I grew up in a circle that was very religious, was very rules based, tradition, customs, all of that stuff. But for me, drawing closer to Jesus, it changed my perspective. It shifted it. And so when my focus is on Jesus and getting closer to him, it's his spirit at work in me that begins to change, right? And grief, especially for me, was such a difficult thing, losing my first daughter. And I dealt with all kinds of emotions: failure, shame, guilt, anger, frustration, all of these things. But I realized that trying harder wasn't the key. It was actually just surrendering more and being closer to the feet of Jesus and his cross. That's where I truly began to heal.
I love that. Trying harder is not key. Surrendering to God is. And so, you see that you in the videos, even that you share on social media, that really heart and compassion towards people to help them know that one, they're not alone, and that two, that God is near to them. So, in what is a very busy and noisy world, what are some simple ways that people can start actually cultivating intimacy with God in their everyday? Like, how can we practically draw closer to God?
Yeah, I actually, it's a big part of this book, actually, but I outlined a whole bunch of steps that you can take. First of all, you have to be intentional. with your time. It's like anything else. If you want to be more physically fit, you have to exercise, right? If you want to fix a relationship, you have to work on it. And your relationship with God is the same. You have to be intentional with it. Set time aside for Him, right? Be in His Word, get into the worship music, and then surround yourselves with people that are going to help you get there, the people that are going to help you draw closer to God in difficult seasons. This life is hard enough, especially to try to do it on your own.
Yeah. And, one of the things that you talk about really is that as we draw closer to God, we actually see that our peace can be restored and our hope begins to be more anchored. And so, for someone maybe who's watching today who maybe feels overwhelmed or weary, or maybe they're walking through a really difficult season, what encouragement would you want to leave them with today and the hope that you have for them as they read your devotional book closer?
Yeah, I would say it's the inspiration that actually I took from the scriptures to write this book. And that was from Psalm 34, that God is close to the brokenhearted. And also from James chapter 8, that if we draw close to Him, He has promised that He will draw close to us. And so if you're watching this and you're in that season and you're struggling, talk to Jesus. Right, just talk to Him, be in His presence, and then, like I said, make sure you're surrounding yourselves with people that are going to help you as well, because this life is so difficult. And Jesus had this beautiful picture for His church, and church is meant for believers to get together and to go through this life. So I just really pray that this book will help a lot of people in Jesus' name.
Well, Josh, I believe it will. Thanks for sharing the message, that we draw close to God and that God draws close to us. So thank you so much for sharing with us today.
And thank you so much for having me. God bless you guys.
Well, for more information on Josh or his book Closer, you can go to 700club.ca.